Agile Your Way of Work. What I'm about to share is based on the book Choose Your Way of Work by Scott Ambler, a disciplined agile delivery handbook for optimizing your way of working. It recommends using existing lean and agile techniques, also aim to address areas that aren't truly covered in smaller scale agile frameworks. Why should teams choose their way of work? Agile teams are commonly told to own their process, to choose their way of work. This is very good advice for several reasons. Context counts. People and teams will work differently depending on the context of the situation. Every person is unique. Every team is unique. Every team finds itself in a unique situation. Team of 5 people will work differently than a team of 20, than a team of 50. Our team will work differently than your team because we're different people with our own unique skill sets, preferences, and backgrounds. Choice is good. To be effective, a team must be able to choose the practices and strategies to address the situation that they face. The implication is that they need to know what these choices are, what the trade offs are, and when to apply or not to apply each one. The other reason is that we should optimize flow. We want to be effective in the way that we work and ideally to delight our customers, stakeholders. To do, to do this, we need to optimize the workflow within our team and in how we collaborate with other team across the organization. And we want to be awesome. Who wouldn't want to be awesome at what they do? Who wouldn't want to work on an awesome team, awesome organization? A significant part of being awesome is to enable teams to choose their way of work and to allow them to constantly experiment and identify even better way they can work. There is a joke where there are two fish in the ocean. One looks at the other and says, "The water looks pretty cloudy today." And the other one says, "What's water?" It's very interesting because it shows that the way we do things often becomes part of our own reality. It's the water we're floating without even thinking. With we don't question the way we work. Instead, we think that the way we work is the only way that makes sense, but the way we work reflects a certain mindset. It might seem natural for you to have a set of skills that makes you a specialist. Maybe you're a project manager or database engineer. So you only focus on these skills when you're working. It also might seem natural for you to only work on detailed plan. Otherwise, you might have costly rework. Yet, the water we swim in, it's not always clear. In fact, it might be more efficient to have generalists instead of specialists. Instead of having a few people who really know one area, it might make sense that everyone know a little bit about everything. It also might make sense to focus on short-term planning. So instead of focusing on eliminating rework, you're actually embracing uncertainty. Some of these ideas are now more commonly known as Agile Mindset, and that's how you should think of it, as a mindset. You're not just focusing on a different way to work. Instead, you're focusing on a different way to think about working. The discipline agile mindset is summarized in this figure and is described as a collection of principles, promises, and guidelines. We like to say that we believe in these 7 principles, so we promise to one another that we will work in a disciplined manner and follow a collection of guidelines that enable us to be effective. I already talked about the first 4 principles. We're going to talk about the 5th one, which is delight customers. Customers are delighted when our products and services not only fulfill their needs and expectations, but surpass them. Consider the last time you checked in a hotel. If you're lucky, there was no line, your room was available, and there was nothing wrong with it when you got there. You were likely satisfied with the service, but that's about it. Now, imagine that you were greeted by name by the concierge when you arrived, and your favorite snack was waiting for you in the room, and you received a complimentary update to a room with a magnificent view, all without asking. This would be more than satisfying and would very likely delight you. Although the update won't happen every time you check in, but it's nice touch when it does, and you're likely to stick with that hotel chain because they treat you so well. Successful organizations offer great products and services that delight their customers. Systems design tells us to build with the customer in mind, to work with them closely, and to build in a small increments and then seize feedback so that we better understand that what will actually delight them. As disciplined agilists, we embrace change. We also strive to discover what our customers want and care for our customers. It's much easier to take care of an existing customer than it's to get a new one. Jeff Godoff and Josh Seddon in the book Sense and Respond say it best. If you can make a product easier to use, reduce the time it takes a customer to complete a task, or provide the right information at the exact moment, you win. Be pragmatic. Many agilists are quite fanatical about following specific methods strictly. In fact, we have met many who say that to do agile right, we need to have 5 to 9 people in a room. With the business or product owner present at all times, the team should not be distributed by people outside the team and should be 100% dedicated to the project. However, in many established enterprises, such ideal conditions rarely exist. The reality is that we have to deal with many suboptimal situations, such as distributed teams, large team sizes, outsourcing, multiple team coordination, and even part-time availability of stakeholders. DA recognizes these realities, and rather than saying we can't be agile, in these situations, we instead say, let's be pragmatic and aim to be as effective as we can be. There are several reasons why it's critical to organize around the products and services, or more simply, the offerings that we provide to our customers. What we mean by this is that we don't organize around job function, such as having a sales group, a business analysis group, a project management group, and so on. Instead, we build dedicated teams focused on delivering an offering for one or more customers. These teams will be cross-functional, and will include people with sales skills, business analysis skills, management skills, and so on. Organized around products, services enables us to identify and optimize the flows that count, which are value streams. And the last principle is enterprise awareness. When people are enterprise aware, they're motivated to consider the overall needs of their organization to ensure that what they're doing contributes positively to the goals of the organization and not just to the suboptimal goals of their team. This is an example of the lean principle of optimizing the whole. In this case, the whole is the organization, or at least the value stream. Because disciplined agilists believe in the principles of DA, they promise to adapt behaviors that enable them to work both within their team and with others more effectively. These promises are designed to be synergetic in practice and they have positive feedback cycles between them. The promises of the DA mindset are create psychological safety and embrace diversity. Psychological safety means being able to show and employ oneself without fear of negative consequences of status, career, or self-worth. We should be comfortable being ourselves in our work setting. Psychological safety goes hand in hand with diversity, which is the recognition that everyone is unique and can add value in different ways. The dimensions of personal uniqueness include, but are not limited to, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, and so on. Diversity is critical to a team's success because it enables greater innovation. The more diverse our team, the better our ideas will be, the better our work will be, and the more we learn from each other. There are several strategies that enable us to nurture psychological safety and delivery within a team. Be respectful, be humble, be ethical and trustworthy, and make it safe to fail. There is a catchy phrase in the Agile world called fail safe. Sorry, fail fast. We prefer Al Shallow's advice. Make it safe to fail so make it safe to fail so you can learn fast. The idea is to not hesitate to try something, even if it may fail. But the focus should be on learning safely and quickly. Note that safely refers both to psychological safety and the safety of work. The second promise is to accelerate value realization. How? Work on small, high value items. Reuse existing assets. Collaborate with other teams. We also promise to collaborate proactively. There are three important opportunities for proactive collaboration. One is within our team. We should always be focused on being awesome, on working with and helping out our fellow team members. So if we see that someone is overloaded with work or is struggling to work through something, don't just wait to be asked, but instead volunteer to help out. The second way is with our stakeholders. Awesome teams have a very good working relationship with their stakeholders, collaborating with them to ensure that what they do is what the stakeholders actually need. And we can collaborate proactively across organizational boundaries. We promise to make all work and workflow visible. Disciplined agile teams and individual team members make all their work and how they work, um, how they are working visible to others. This is often referred to as radical transparency, and the idea is that we should be open and honest with others. Disciplined agile teams make their workflow visible and thus have explicit workflow policies so that everyone knows how everyone else is working. This supports collaboration because people have agreements as to how they are going to work together. It also supports process improvement because it enables us to understand what is actually happening and thereby increases the chance that we can detect where we have potential issues. And we promise to improve predictability. Disciplined agile teams strive to improve their predictability to enable them to collaborate and self organize more effectively, and thereby to increase the chance that they will fulfill any commitments that they make to their stakeholders. Many of the earlier promises we have made work toward improving predictability. To see how to improve predictability, it's often useful to see what causes unpredictability, such as technical debt and overloaded team members, and to then attack those challenges. Technical debt refers to the implied cost of future refactoring or rework to improve the quality of an asset to make it easy to maintain and extend. And we promise to keep workload within capacity. Going beyond capacity is problematic from both a personal and productivity point of view. And the last one is we promise to improve continuously. To fulfill the promises that disciplined agilists make, they will choose to follow a collection of guidelines that make them more effective in the way that they work. The guidelines of the DA mindset are validate our learnings. The only way to become awesome is to experiment with and then adopt where appropriate a new way of work. In the guided continuous improvement workflow, after we experiment with a new way of working, we assess how well it worked and an approach called validated learning. Design thinking means to be empathetic to the customer, to first try to understand their environment and needs before developing a solution. Design thinking represents a fundamental shift from building systems from our perspective to creatively solving customer problems and, better yet, fulfilling needs they didn't even know they had. Attend to relationships to the value stream. One of the greatest strengths of the Agile Manifesto is its first value. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Create effective environment that foster joy. We can make our work more joyful by creating an environment that allows us to work together well. A key strategy to achieve this is to allow teams to be self-organizing, to let them choose and evolve their own way of work and organizational structure and working environments. Teams must do so in an enterprise-aware manner, meaning we need to collaborate with other teams, and there are organizational procedures and standards we must follow and constraints on what we can do. The job of leadership is to provide a good environment for teams to start in, and then to support and enable teams to improve as they learn over time. Change culture by improving the system. Peter Drucker is famous for saying that culture eats a strategy for breakfast. This is something that the Agile community has taken to heart, and this philosophy is clearly reflected in the people-oriented nature of the Agile Manifesto. While culture is important and culture change is a critical component of any organization's Agile transformation, the unfortunate reality is that we can't change it directly. This is because culture is a reflection of the management system in place. So, to change our culture, we need to evolve our overall system. And there are more guidelines. Create semi autonomous self organizing teams. Adopt measures to improve outcomes. Leverage and enhance organizational assets. And a few more great philosophies. If it's hard, do it more often. If it's scary, do it more often. Keep asking why and learn something every day. And this is the mindset is only the beginning. Software development and, more importantly, solution delivery is complex. We need to know what we're doing. Thank you.